Hello and welcome to part 7 of the RFEFP series. This is your host Nee B, and this one is going to be entitled Nazca and the Geoglyphs of the Earth. Thank you very much for joining me today, so please relax and get comfortable. I hope you find this one as interesting as I have researching, as I find a lot of people do not talk about this as a topic. Now, the high desert of Peru, folks, holds one of the most mystifying secrets of the known world: the massive scale geoglyphs, commonly known as the Nazca lines. Now, these were only discovered by chance, accidentally, when a plane flew over the site in the mid-20th century, and to the sudden surprise of the pilot, suddenly noticed them from the air. Now, to this day, folks, there are more than 800 carved straight lines and some 300 geometric shapes. And you can see animals featuring a giant hummingbird, a condor, a monkey, a spider, and a pelican. And that's just for starters. Over 70 animal and plant designs actually etched into this desert floor. And yet they still find more. But not just in Peru. There are other places that have geoglyphs. Now, with the common use of drone surveillance technology, we are able to see what, let's just say, the ones looking down were only meant to see. Now, these drawings at Nazca are scattered over 200 square miles, and they cover virtually the entire plateau. Some of the lines are over 6 miles long, and yet they still run unbroken over plains, hills and valleys, and seem to always remain perfectly straight and true to the plane. Now, the main reason, folks, that these lines have actually survived for so long is that of the weather conditions in the region are so bad, there is very little rain and the wind is almost non-existent here. So if you were to go to Nazca and actually draw something in the ground today, it will remain there for quite some time. Now, what do we know, folks, about the actual Nazca civilization? Well, historically, not that much. But I have researched that the civilization had flourished between the 200, or let's say between 200 BC and 600 AD, a time, folks, when the Earth was actually known to be flat and motionless. Now, significant technological developments took place within this area of the timeline, such as metalworking, pottery, and irrigation systems, which is simply the application of a certain control amount of water to plants, at certain intervals throughout the day and night. Now, they dug underground, filtered the water, and channeled it to the surface to a reservoir, where it was then distributed to local agricultural fields, and this resulting in highly sophisticated underground irrigation systems for that time. Now, the Nazca culture had also developed splendid multicolour pottery skills as well. Using natural pigments from local plants and minerals, they were a culture of many significant talents and skill sets. But one of the most interesting and intriguing designs of the Nazca, without a doubt, folks, must be the one that represents the spider, because this has a leg that is extended way out. Now, curiously, if you were to take that specific geoglyph and were to flip it around and mirror it like the famous Da Vinci's technique, what you will observe is that the Nazca spider is representing the constellation of Orion, and the long spider's leg is representing the brightest star in the sky, Sirius, which is very, very important, folks. Whoever designed these intricate geoglyphs at Nazca had an excellent, a superb knowledge of geoastronomy and geometry, and like many of the other ancient cultures around the plain world, the Nazca knew that the Earth was indeed flat, and Orion and Sirius were very, very important to us, like Polaris is. Now folks, scientifically, something very special indeed lies underground at Nazca. 8 feet beneath some of the lines, there are magnetic field anomalies which leave scientists scratching their heads. It's a wonder they're all bald. Experts from the University of Dresden have studied the Nazca lines, folks, and they measured the magnetic field and actually found changes in the field directly under some of the geoglyphs. And I bet Tesla would have loved to have run his own experiments here back in the day. Now also electrical conductivity has also been measured by scientists. And once studied, again folks, they are totally baffled by these results. It seems to be so very strange to the ones who are not in the know. But yet we know, don't we folks, that the Earth is a battery, an electromaglev battery, if you will, which is why the Earth is 72% salt water, more or less, and not fresh water. The Nazca Geoglyphs are connected in some way to water, like the peoples of Nazca loved water, the element which brings life. For example, a triangular geoglyph at the bottom of the Sierra Blanco mountain runs along the water veins inside the mountain, while the condor geoglyph is linked to local legend which states that when the condor flies over the mountain, great rains follow. And similarly, the hummingbird geoglyph only appears in the summer following heavy rainfall. But one of the most interesting facts and relatively unknown about Nazca, folks, is that contrary to the popular belief that the figures in the lines can only be seen from the air is not actually correct, because some of these are actually visible from the surrounding foothills. And this, folks, is the most interesting part, because the lines are showing an intelligently created sun and moon dial. Now, Paul Kosok from Long Island University is credited as the first scholar to seriously study the Nazca lines, and he discovered, folks, that the lines actually converged at the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere, and also the figures were markers on the horizon to show where the sun and moon rise from, for the reoccurrence of the seasons. As the Nazca knew, the sun and moon do not set, they circle above. They are the cause for the seasons every year. Now, as intelligent beings as they were back then, thousands of years ago, folks, they had actually mapped out a way to study this phenomena of geocentrism, which is totally incredible. Now, folks, this is unknown to the rest of the world. Only the pictures to be famous and maybe some of the pottery, but certainly not their geocentric sun and moon paths that are situated on these lines. Now, the truth, folks, is simple. The Nazca lines were created by the people in order to worship their god or gods, simply by representing a shrine for them to see from above, a giant canvas, if you will, to work on, a huge art attack, if you remember, a way to show off their skills and gratitudes for the one or ones who is looking down. Now, this can only happen on a flat world, folks, and not a globed spinning one. The Nazca knew this truth. They have mapped it out for all of us to see. They are showing or presenting an offering of artistic form of gratitude for this incredible gift of life on Earth. Even some of the drawings on the desert are very similar to those found in their pottery mastery, folks, so there really is no question of the purpose. Please try not to fall for the alien airport, otherworldly chariots of fire, astronaut explanations. That is all science fiction, to try and hide the simple fact of their purpose and intention of the plane. Nazca holds truly some infinite mysteries, but at the same time answers. This gigantic canvas display of creativity, zetetic astronomy, geometry, and the natural electromagnetism it hides. However, not just in Peru, folks, there are also other places on the plane that have these incredible geoglyphs. Although some may be not as artistic, they still show this tremendous skill set, simply to be seen by those or thou who look down. They have been made by different civilizations all throughout history, all telling this same story. From England to Australia, Saudi Arabia and India, all made for the simple purpose, friends, to be seen by the one or ones who look down. And you cannot do this on a spinning ball, can you? There is no up or down in that club. Please try to remember that. Nazca Peru, folks, will continue to this day to be an area of huge interests to archaeologists, scientists, and historians, and more images are found yearly. Yet their geoglyphs, along with all the other geoglyphs of this known world, will always remain a real flat Earth fact on the plane. This was Nee B. Thanks for watching and listening. Loneliness expresses the pain of being alone, and solitude expresses the glory of being alone. Share your smile with the world.